Without further ado, please join me in welcoming to stage the 44th President of the United States, President Barack Obama.
Hello, everybody. Oh, good afternoon. Selamat datang. Please, everybody have a seat.
Here is President Obama. I've got some sound from President Obama. This is yesterday, talking in Oakdale, Pennsylvania, to a group of Americans who have basically been slammed by the economy. But if you listen to the speech, first of all, you would think that Obama was a candidate running for office and that somebody else were president. Maybe, like George Bush or some evil Republican, because he's talking about how bad things are, even though he's the guy that's in charge. It's his own economy that's so lousy, yet he doesn't want to own up to it. Here's the first of these two cuts, cut number 17.
Here's the challenge, and a lot of folks here know it. A lot of people don't feel that progress in their own lives yet. So the stock market's doing great. Corporate profits are soaring. Folks at the very, very top are doing better than ever. But too many Americans, if they're lucky enough to have a job, are working harder and harder just to get by. Much less to get ahead.
Yeah, people are working harder and harder just to get by. Hasn't Obama been president for the last 5 or 6 years? So whose responsibility is that? Yes, we got a high stock market, but too many Americans, if they're lucky enough to have a job, lucky enough, right? If you got lucky and you didn't lose your job based on what a lousy economy there is, based on these awful policies. Oh, wait a minute. Those are my policies. This is my economy. Oops, right? Did these people not know? Does he think that they don't know that he's been the president? Did they think that he's just a campaign speech, that he's just trying to get elected, that George Bush is still president, and that's why everything is so bad? But here's where it really gets worse. Here's what really goes crazy. Here, listen to the rest of this. Cut number 18.
For too many middle-class Americans, it feels as if the same trends that have been going on for decades are continuing. Right? You're working hard, but wages flatline, incomes flatline, cost of everything else going up.
All right, there's so much here. First of all, he's saying that the trends that have been going on for decades are continuing. Yeah. What we need is change. We need to change the trends of the last decades. But wait a minute. That's what he said when he was running for president in 2007. He wanted change. But he just said that the same old trends that have been in place are continuing. I thought he was going to change that. So now he's still arguing for change. He's out there giving a speech, and he's saying that what we need is change. Yeah, we do need change. We need to change what Obama is doing. Right? Is there any hope of that actually happening? How can he still be out there talking about change when he's refused to change anything? He's arguing that everything that's been going on for decades is still going on. Yeah, it's still going on. You promised to change that, but you didn't, and now you're still arguing for change? How about enacting some change? But my favorite part, right, is the second part. He says, your wages are flat, but the cost of everything else is going up. So he's complaining that the cost of everything is going up. He's complaining about inflation. He's complaining about rising prices. Did he not listen to Janet Yellen's speech? I guess they were both speaking on the same day, which is the irony of it. You have Janet Yellen speaking in New York, right, to a bunch of rich people, claiming that we don't have enough inflation. But then you have the president speaking to poor middle-class people, talking about that there's too much inflation, that the price of everything is going up. Now, why? Well, the president doesn't want to stand there and try to tell average Americans that there's no inflation because they know that that would be BS. But I guess the people that are sitting there at the Economic Club of New York, you know, they're easier to BS about this because they don't really pay attention to the prices that their maids are paying when they do the shopping. But the people who were there listening to President Obama know that the cost of everything is going up, right? That is the problem as the president sees it and as his own, you know, constituents understand it. The problem is rising prices. Yet, his own Fed chairman is saying that the problem is that prices aren't rising fast enough. The chairman of the Federal Reserve wants to make the problems worse. The chairman of the Federal Reserve wants to make sure that the cost of everything else, everything, the president said the cost of everything is going up. And what Janet Yellen wants to do is make sure that the cost of everything that's going up goes up at about double the rate that is currently going up. Now, this is the real disconnect, right? You got the White House saying one thing, White House saying there's too much inflation, and Janet Yellen saying there's not enough. Who's right? Hey, this is probably the first time that President Obama has ever been right. Yes, inflation is a big problem, right? Incomes are stagnant and prices are rising, but he shares a lot of that blame. It's not just the Federal Reserve, it's the policies that he is pursuing and the policies that he refused to change. That's it. You've been listening to the Peter Schiff Show here at SchiffRadio.com. The goal.
A few years ago, I made a deliberate and strategic decision as President of the United States that America will play a larger, more comprehensive role in this region's future. I know some still what this strategy is all about, so before I answer your questions, I just want to answer that one question. Why Asia is so important to America, and why Southeast Asia has been a particular focus. And finally, why I believe that young people like you have to be the ones who lead us forward. Asia Pacific, with its rich cultures and beautiful traditions and vibrant society, that's all part of who I am. It helped shape how I see the world. And it's also helped to shape my approach as president. And while our government, our financial centers, many of our traditions began along the Atlantic coast, America's always been a Pacific nation as well. America's always had a history with Asia, and we've got a future with Asia. This is the world's fastest growing region. Over the next 5 years, nearly half of all economic growth outside the United States is projected to come from right here in Asia. That means this region is vital to creating jobs and opportunity, not only for yourselves, but also for the American people. And any serious leader in America recognizes that fact. And because you're home to more than half of humanity, Asia will largely define the contours of the century ahead, whether it's going to be marked by conflict or cooperation, by human suffering or human progress. So this is why America refocused our attention on the vast potential of the Asia-Pacific region.
Either you're with us, either you love freedom and with nations which embrace freedom, or you're with the enemy. There's no in between. You're either with us or you're with the enemy. That's clear. I will continue to make that clear.
Countries come through a decade in which we fought 2 wars and an economic crisis that hurt us badly, along with countries all over the globe. But we've now ended the war in Iraq. Our war in Afghanistan will end this year. Our businesses are steadily creating new jobs.
Folks at the very, very top are doing better than ever. But too many Americans, if they're lucky enough to have a job, are working harder and harder just to get by, much less to get ahead.
Yeah, people are working harder and harder just to get by. Hasn't Obama been president for the last 5 or 6 years? So whose responsibility is that?
And we've begun addressing the challenges that have weighed down our economy for too long.
It's his own economy that's so lousy, yet he doesn't want to own up to it.
Building a clean energy economy, cutting our fiscal deficits by more than half since I took office.
Middle-class Americans, it feels as if the same trends that have been going on for decades are continuing. Right? You're working hard, but wages flatline, incomes flatline, cost of everything else going up.
Yes, we got a high stock market, but too many Americans, if they're lucky enough to have a job, lucky enough, right? If you got lucky and you didn't lose your job based on what a lousy economy there is, based on these awful policies. Oh, wait a minute. Those are my policies. This is my economy. Oops, right?
Let me be clear about this, because some people have wondered whether, because of what happens in Ukraine or what happens in the Middle East, whether this will sideline our strategy. It has not. We are focused, and we're going to follow through on our interest in promoting a strong U.S.-Asia relationship. We have been moving forward on our rebalance to this part of the world by opening ties of commerce and negotiating our most ambitious trade agreement, building deeper partnerships with emerging powers like Indonesia and Vietnam. And increasingly, we're building these partnerships throughout Southeast Asia. Controlled, given economies have way to free markets. The 10 nations of ASEAN are home to nearly 1 in 10 of the world's citizens. And when you put those countries together, you're the 7th largest economy in the world, 4th largest market for American exports, the #1 destination for American investment in Asia. And I'm proud to be the first American president to meet regularly with all 10 ASEAN leaders, and I intend to do it every year that I remain president. The United States remains the #1 investor in Malaysia. We're partnering to promote security in shipping lanes. We're making progress on the Trans-Pacific Partnership to boost trade that supports good jobs and prosperity in both our countries. Today, I'm very pleased that we've forged a comprehensive partnership that lays the foundation for even closer cooperation for years to come. And before I take your questions, let me just close by sharing with you the future that I want to work for in this region, about where we want America's rebalance in the Asia-Pacific to lead, the work that we can do together. I believe that together we can make the Asia-Pacific more secure. You know, America has the strongest military in the world, but we don't seek conflict. We seek to keep the peace. How are you? Good to see you. Good. Thank you so much. Good to see you here. It's wonderful to be here. How are you, my friend? Great. Good to see you. Good seeing you. So I visit as an opportunity to reaffirm the unbreakable bond between our nations, to restate America's unwavering commitment to Israel's security, and to speak directly to the people of Israel. We want a future where disputes are resolved peacefully and where bigger nations don't bully smaller nations. All nations are equal in the eyes of international law.
Yeah, we do need change. We need to change what Obama is doing.